What's up, guys? You ready to start investing in real estate? You want to know where's the best place for you to look to find that real estate deal. Well, if you're trying to find that information, you're watching the right video. So with that, let's get started. If I was in the market to find a real estate deal, what would be the first place for me to look? Now keep in mind, just like anything else in life, you have options, right? In my opinion, there's 4 ways for you to get a really good real estate deal. Starting from the top is networking with real estate agents. Number 2 is going to an auction. Number 3, there's online resources available to you. Number 4, direct to consumer. I want to touch on all 4 of those, starting from the top, networking with agents. So let's talk about it. You have to understand something, that as a real estate buyer, you don't actually pay a commission to the person representing you, which is called the selling agent. The commission is paid directly from the seller. So you can get represented by anyone who has a real estate license, and by them putting together the deal, they actually get paid directly through the seller. How is that relevant to you finding the best real estate deal? Well, check this out. Most tracts, areas, different pockets have a specialist, somebody who's been working that particular tract for a very long time. This is how agents establish their book of business. It's called farming. So if you are trying to get into a certain area, what you want to do is get in touch with the person who works in that community, in that neighborhood, somebody who's been there for years. And I'll tell you why. Because most of the people are constantly receiving their solicitation in one way or another. Maybe that person is even knocking on their doors. So if you want to buy a property in that particular area, that's your go-to person. He's talking to the people who live there. He's knocking on their doors. He's constantly mailing things to them. If something's not even on the market yet, but it's going to be, they're going to be the one who knows about it. So the way you get in on it is you get in touch with that person and you let him know, hey, I'm looking for something in this community. Now, keep in mind, like I said, if they're going to be the selling agent, it doesn't mean that they're going to be the listing agent. It doesn't mean that it's going to be their own listing. What's going to make that person motivated to work with you? You let them know that if they find the property that you're looking for, you're going to let them represent you. That's going to earn them a lucrative commission, which means that they're definitely going to keep your name in their back pocket. All right? Are you getting this? Agents work on commission. So some way, somehow, they have to earn a living from you. The only way to do it is to tell them that if they in fact find you a property within that community, whether they get the listing or not, meaning whether they represent the seller or not, they will in fact represent you if they could just let you know about that, so you guys could write an offer on it, and for that, they're gonna make a commission. All right, it's that simple. So that by itself is a go-to in any area that you want to buy any type of a real estate deal, whether it's owner-occupied or investment property. Makes it a lot easier. In addition to it, you have to understand that agents network. There is something called a broker open house, where basically all the offices, before any type of an open house is held on any property, they come and they visit the property. And so all the agents already know about this property way before you. Also within the same office, agents network with each other. They tell each other what they have. A lot of deals are sold off market simply because they already have a buyer for it. So it's in your vested interest to work with somebody, and maybe multiple people, depending on where you're looking, to try to find a property that suits you that may or may not even hit the market. So that's how networking with agents would be a really good thing for you. Like I said, they see the inventory before everyone else. They have other agents in the office who constantly are talking to people looking to sell their property. There may be a very aggressive listing agent in their office who constantly gets listings. They have access to that person. You don't. So that'd be one way for you to find a really good investment way before everyone else. Now remember something, with real estate investment, I said this 1,000 times. You don't have to get a massive discount. You just want to get the property that fits your needs for whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's investment or owner occupied, that is in line with the market at that particular time. You don't want to overpay for it, of course. And if you get a small discount, that's great. But remember, if you're just trying to get that perfect property, that would be a great way to do it, all right? So that's number one. Number two, which I'm not a big fan of, is going to the auction. And I'll tell you why I'm not a big fan of it. Because the auction is very unpredictable. You might think, wow, this is a great idea. This property goes to the auction, I can bid on it, buy it for a very large discount. Maybe, could be possible, but why am I not a big fan of it? Because there's so much unforeseen when you're buying properties from an auction. Not only the property, but the title itself. This is all legwork that you got to do before you actually show up at the auction. You got to drive by the property. You know, there may be a squatter in there may be a tenant in there who's getting evicted. You basically are taking over everything the minute you buy the property. So it may be very expensive to get somebody out. The property may be trashed. You can't actually see it on the inside. More than likely, you may not even have access to it. You can't trespass on the property. You have to make sure that the title doesn't have any major issues with it, because once you pick it up, you're liable for everything, all right? And then when you do in fact show up to the auction, you have to come with a cashier check, ready to pay for the property. And that cashier check may not come directly from your bank account. You know, you might have a private money lender, you know, giving you like whatever it is, 70, 80% of the money to buy that property, and that's a part of your financing, but everything is done completely differently. It's very black and white. And so there's not, you know, once you buy the property, you're basically into either something really good or something really bad. And if it's something really bad, you could also lose a lot of money. So that's not a game that I personally like to play. I like to make sure that when I buy something, number one, I'm getting at least market rate for what it's worth. Number two, I'm in a position where I'm buying something that's not trashed and that could cash flow. If I don't have those components in place, likely I'm not going to be the one playing the game. Now, there's another segue to that, and that would be you getting in touch with different banks, talking to them about their REO departments. They might have properties that they foreclosed on, which means that they went to the auction, nobody bought them, they went back to the bank, now they're on their books, their portfolio property, that the bank themselves are going to have to sell. And guess what? It's a lot easier because the title is going to be clean. You know, when you're closing, there is somebody or not somebody in the property, but you have full control over that. There's a lot more clarity, and you can actually structure your financing. So if I was going to do something versus doing an auction, I would do an REO. Talk to the different banks, see what they have on their books. You know, if there's any type of an opportunity there, maybe not even today, just leave your number, tell them to call me, I'm an active investor. That might be a much cleaner deal to do. Segue to that is actually talking to private money lenders. Why is that? Because a lot of these people, they take bridge loans from private money lenders, and there's no shortage of them. And a lot of these people don't actually have credit, and they don't actually declare their income. They may, but you know, if they're in a position where they want to just compete for a property because there's a lot of offers, then they may just take that route of a private money lender. But if not, and they're just buying the property because, you know, they can't actually show documentation of income and their credit is poor, then sometimes these private money lenders have pieces of real estate that they lend on that people default on. And then guess what? They either have to take them back or they find an investor who's willing to buy it for a discount. So that might be another option for you. Talk to a bunch of private money lenders, see what they got on their books, see if there's anything in default, something that you could take advantage of. So that would be another way for you to find a really good investment opportunity. Now, as we all know, there are online platforms such as Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, you know, a bunch of those. And so that's a great way for you to just kind of see what's in the market at any given point in time. And what I would recommend, if you're going to take that route, is when you click the button to get in touch with the agent, it's going to actually randomly pick an agent that is actually paid for that territory. So watch out for that. At the bottom of the solicitation, there would actually be the information of the listing agent. And that's basically what you want to look for. You really don't want to talk to the agent who is paying for the territory, because they may or may not be somebody with a lot of experience. You could actually look that up. It would actually show reviews and stars and all that. But if you're in a position to actually get the deal and there's a lot of activity on it, right? I've talked about this before. It would be easier for you to deal directly with the listing agent. One, they would have a lot more information. And number two, they can double pop the deal, meaning they get a commission from the seller and you, the buyer. They're more likely to be more motivated to try to sell you the property. So I would definitely look in that direction. That would definitely be something that I do using these online platforms. Now, if you're in fact trying to do the same thing for commercial property, then you want to look at LoopNet. All right, LoopNet is owned by a company called CoStar, and to have a subscription with them is very expensive, a couple $1,000s a month. But they actually called all the commercial landlords and the owners to find out everything there is about every commercial property, basically nationwide. That's the paid version. The unpaid version is LoopNet, where it simply allows real estate commercial agents to place their solicitation for the general public. And that company actually also owns a couple more platforms, such as apartments.com and buybiz.com. So it's a very large platform. So I would highly recommend that. So that was actually number 3, right? The first one was agents, auctions. Then we talked about online platforms being number 3. Let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is direct to consumer. What do you mean? Well, I'll tell you this. I found that the active approach always works 10 times better, meaning that you can market yourself to death, but until you actually speak to somebody, knock on their door, leave a letter, tell them what you're trying to do, they don't actually respond to you, unless you've been doing this for many years and then everyone knows about you, like some of these agents that have been around for like 30 years. You're in their track, you see their stuff all the time, and when it's time to sell, of course, they're top of mind. You're going to interview them, you're going to want to talk to them because they've done it forever. But if you're not that person and you're just a buyer and an investor trying to buy a property, how can you bypass that cycle, right? Because we talked about already going to the agent in that community. But to be proactive, what you could actually do is leave a letter or send a mailer direct and just say, look, this is me, this is my name, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this community that sits on, say, 7,000 square feet. I'm trying to do this immediately. My financing is in place. I'm already pre-approved and I'm ready to buy. If somebody is considering hiring a real estate agent, they might actually give you a call to see how serious you are. And you can say, this is not a generic solicitation. I'm not a part of an agency. I'm just a simple investor. Even put a picture of yourself in there. You and your family, if you're trying to do this for a primary residence, or just see if it's just an investment. And I'll tell you why. Because if I'm a seller and I'm about to list my property for sale, I'm about to pay 5% on a discounted side, 2.5% and 2.5%. 2.5% to a listing agent, 2.5% to a selling agent, simply to sell my property. So let's do the math. An average property, I'm in Los Angeles, so an average property here is probably $800,000 to $1 million. But let's just say $500,000. $500,000, 5% of that is $25,000. $1 million is $50,000. $1 million property, $50,000? That's a lot of money, okay? So if I can tell you, listen, I was gonna list this property for $1 million, and instead of paying them the commission, whatever, you can give them half the commission. I'll give you a credit of $25,000. So instead of listing with this person for $1 million, I'll just sell it to you for $1 million. I'll give you a $50,000 discount. Guess what? Puts you in a much better position. You can get the property for market without competing with all the other offers, and you can request a discount of either the listing or the listing and the selling agents. And how do you come up with the price? Because you have to be fair, right? It's a negotiation. Tell them you'll pay for an appraisal. It's $500. It's not that much. So if you're buying a standard property and you're approaching the seller and you're like, hey, work with me, tell them, listen, I will personally pay for an appraisal of your choice. You pick the appraiser because I don't want it to be biased. And then whatever the value is, that will be my purchase price. You, on the other hand, will pay me both the selling and listing commissions, which would be, again, depending on the price point, approximately 5%. So that's a great negotiation tool when you're trying to buy and invest in property in a tough market. And I'll tell you one other thing. The reason this is a good tool is because some people, you don't know their timeline in terms of urgency. Some people can sit on a property forever. Other people need to sell yesterday. In addition to it, most people, they don't like a million people coming in and out of their property if they don't have to. So this way, when you tell somebody, hey, listen, I'll pay for an appraisal, you'll sell the property for market, you just give me the discounts that you already would have paid. This makes all the sense in the world, all right? So that's our 4. Those are the 4 channels that, that could get you a great deal on an investment property, right? Starting from the top, agent, auction, online, direct to consumer. Guys, I enjoy making these videos for you. If there's anything I missed, please drop it in the comments below. Let me know. I'll be happy to cover it. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching this. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next video.